I've got a good news. My mom is in love. Do you know how I know that? Because my son told me that she's updated her status on Facebook. Yes, that is sad. But that's happiness. This is the happy generation. They have time to fall in love. They have time to be on Facebook. However, marketeers nowadays tend not to grasp this happiness. And what they're doing is actually thinking that happiness belongs to other targets, which is a term they use. They even use, to describe these targets, a buzzword called a persona. And a persona is a description of who they think can best encapsulate their brand. So meet Johnny Happy. Johnny Happy is an amazing man. He's a very strong, wishful thinking. Johnny Happy, he is in the mid-30s, has a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, has an amazing work in which he fulfills himself with such a passion. He eats organic. You know, he's investing a lot of time in his work, but still believes that friendship is a strong value in which he also needs to invest time as much as ecology. Actually, you find one like that, marry him. Even if you're a man. You might sell him afterwards, you don't know. It might be useful. This guy, like this, is probably the only person on earth being like that. So, yes, as a marketeer, it looks good. As a marketeer, I see it as Happy Johnny or Johnny Happy, depending on which country you're from. But, actually, let me tell you a secret. Johnny is not happy. Johnny has a mortgage he can't afford. Johnny has a very hectic family with wife and kids, and Johnny is struggling. So if you've met Johnny, actually, his to-do list looks like this, and Johnny is far from being happy. Johnny is in burnout. But as a marketeer, I don't want to listen to this. I like Johnny because he looks good. He looks very good. But I can tell you, Johnny is not part of the happy generation. So, who's the happy generation? That's the question we're here to answer tonight, and I will tell you who's really happy. But to do so, let me show you this. This is the happy generation. However, when marketeers tend to picture the happy generation, people below or above 50 or above 55 or above 60, they tend to picture them like this. Have you seen your parents or grandparents looking like this? I mean, you come home and you see them jumping in the garden like this. I can tell you, if it happens to me, I'll run. Or probably do a paternity test, because somehow something's wrong. You know, genetically talking, I'd be worried. No, this is not the reality. So when marketeers are not picturing them like this, they start picturing them like that, which is somehow insulting. They believe they're not cool. They will mock them. They will make them feel that they are not part of the world anymore. And the ones actually thinking that they will do a strong job towards the seniors, that's what they do. They do a very serious advertising. So basically, either you are being talked to in a way which is totally unrealistic, or as a senior, you are being talked to in a very rude way, or you are talked to when you have a disorder. And when you look at the age, it seems that anytime we're talking about somebody senior, apparently there is a hearing problem or a hip problem or whatever. This is not the case. This is really not the case. Let me tell you another secret. This is my friend Gorg. Since Gorg was in his cave and realized that life was tough because his wife had been eaten by a dinosaur, Gorg started to realize that he had to fight. So he's been fighting for freedom. He's been fighting for fire, for security, safety. And since that man, all generations up to the happy generation has been fighting for freedom, intellectual freedom, financial freedom, any kind of freedom you can imagine, and some I won't name here. The problem is, we start going back down. I mean, just an example, they invented the miniskirt. Hey, that's a great generation. But we, the younger generation, when I work in companies, what I hear is burnout. I'm not hearing happiness in companies. Very few companies might want to install that. But the majority of companies, people are struggling. And now I will give you another secret on marketeers, because marketeers are not good at math. Very bad at math. It's a simple equation. People above 50 in Europe represent 70% of the financial resources. That's nice, yes. However, they represent 10% of the marketing investment. So as a marketeer, I will spend, if you do the math, 90% on only 30% of the population. So why, as a marketeer, am I refusing to talk to seniors? Am I right? It's true, they're not cool. And not very cool senior people. My God. Can you imagine that? They're not my age. How could I find them cool? But let me tell you another secret. This is the coolest generation since the dinosaurs. They've been dancing naked at Woodstock. They've been launching the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, the Peel. I mean, they had a life in the 70s. You would survive 10 minutes of this diet. And we think we are cool. We're not. They were very cool. I speak to marketeers and they tell me, hey, yeah, but they're not into brands. They buy private labels. Why do they buy private labels? Because they have no money and they're walking like this, and private labels, probably they're at the bottom shelf. Yes, they did not help building brands at all. All those brands are very new on the market, fairly new brands that actually only the young generation is helping developing. No, they're really into brands. So what's the reason behind? I will give you some figures. The average age of buying a Harley-Davidson in Europe is 59. The average age of buying an Audi TT is 61. Yes. They own 80% of the luxury cars. Johnny Happy is driving a Twingo. So, how on earth, and not even a hybrid one. So we need to look at those people in a different way. I saw that in France the other day, and I will translate it for you. It says, young, individual old enough to be talked to normally. I will turn it in a different way. I will say old, individual young enough to be talked to normally. Have you never seen how funny it is that when people talk to other people who are not their age, they tend to adapt their language? They speak to kids like this. Hello, and how are you today? And comes the granny, and they'll do the same. Hello, granny. You're right. And they will even yell because she's probably deaf. And you realize that why, when I speak to somebody who's not my age, I start mocking or I start adapting. Kids or people above 50 are not stupid. They speak the same language, so we adapt because we start judging. This is why today, in marketing, senior people, they love advertising. They love it. They do love it, apart from the advertising which is designed for them. Look at them. I counted the teeth. They have probably 2 times more teeth in their mouth than I have. And they're already dressed in white, so marketeers probably already on their way to heaven, you know. Poof, that's it. Yes, advertising agencies have been forced to make that ad. Make an ad for seniors. No, yes, dress them in white. That's it. They're already on the door. Hop. Come on, let's get serious. Or they do something like this. Yes, because when you're above 55, 60, you definitely need a lift to climb the stairs. How insulting. This is not because you do marketing towards somebody who's not your age that you have to mock that person. And that's something which is very important to bear in mind, is that this person here, let's call him Francis, Francis doesn't see himself like this. Do you know how he sees himself? That's the way Francis sees himself. And that's the way he feels. We never age. We never age in our mind. There is not something where you wake up in the morning and it's like, oh, I'm 40, oh, I'm 50, damn, I'm 60, and that's it. And all of a sudden something different in your way of thinking happens. No, you're still the same. You still danced naked at Woodstock, no matter your age. And that's what he remembers. The problem with Francis is that he sees his friend Peter looking like this. Yes, he's got a different perception. He will say, Peter, oh, he looks so, look all he's become. Yeah, so can you imagine an advertising agency or a marketing department looking a bit more like this, like, hey, we're having fun. They look at Francis and Peter probably like this. I had that experience, Yes, we'll do an ad on seniors. What? So this is complicated. People do not see themselves the way they are. And this is something which is very strong. It's called empathy. And empathy is about looking other people not through your eyes and your judgment. It's about looking to other people through their eyes and trying to understand how they feel about this. First of all, seniors do not exist. They're the same age. Would you talk to them in the same way? To which one would you go, hello, Granny? No, none of them. None of them. So there is no senior. We are all the senior of somebody else. Age is a virtual thing. And this is why I call it the non-judgment zone. If you want to do great marketing, it's about not judging others. And marketing applies in your daily life. This is about looking at other people through their own eyes. Because if you would look through the eyes of somebody 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus, this is what you would see, this is what you would feel. But this is important. So let me ask you something. How do you look at your parents or your grandparents, your grandpa, your grandma? How do you think she or he feels when seeing his or her reflection in your eyes? So let me finish with this. How would you like to be looked at? Thank you.